My grandparents, they remember the moon landing. My dad, he can remember Watergate. My mom, she remembers what she was doing the day Martin Luther King Jr. died. My cousins, they can reminisce about browsing arcade cabins after school. Good old nostalgia. And me? I remember when Club Penguin ended. I was sitting on my phone, watching the memes just flood my Instagram, and I turned to my uncle. He sits and has his forehead in his palm like this, asking himself, what has this generation come to? All right, I have a slide. That's it. Okay. I'm in 2 gray spots. I'm 18, which means I'm legally an adult. Although my mom will still scold me using my first, middle, and last name. It's not funny. I'm also between being a millennial and part of Gen Z. I really miss Vine. I don't get TikTok. I'm at an observational angle, and I kind of like to look at how this generation has changed and what that means in regards to how we treat each other. Bullying, as the adults will call it. So what's the same? What can you do? Welcome to my TED Talk. I know that you want the secrets to this generation. What's a yeet? Why do we call everyone girl, boy, gender unspecified, a queen? And what does the eggplant emoji imply? Well, I have no idea what a yeet is. I guess everyone wants to be a queen. And I have to keep this TED Talk rated G. I'm a little outside the norm, but I do commit to nihilism. I'll have a few existential crises a day. And then I'll complain that my life is in shambles, even though it's not. To which every kid around me will then say, same. But this is all just part of our modern culture. And we tend to connect over being socially inarticulate. Irony. We aren't really afraid to be ourselves because oftentimes we socialize behind screens. We don't face the same consequences we would as if we were in person. And this contrasts with bullying, because bullying has always been about power and control. But due to the lack of said consequences, it makes it easier to brush off wrongdoings. I mean, at the end of the day, you can just surround yourself with an agenda that can justify your actions. It can be hard to seek help because it might make the situation worse. And it's not like we ignore these issues, though. But growing up in an environment like this, we don't take it seriously because we've never taken ourselves seriously. We get nostalgic over Nickelodeon sitcoms and Disney Channel movies. It's become our culture, and we're taught a lot through the media. So typically, when we take advantage over someone else's emotions, we know that we're doing it. We don't care to acknowledge how to fix it. But we're so much smarter than you give us credit for. You're at a TED Talk full of high schoolers. Our brains are worth your tax dollars here, but that can only take us part of the way. It's super imperative that you help us utilize our overly meta-intelligence. So, what you have to understand about us is that we've been conditioned to grow up quickly. We're faced with harsh realities from a young age, and we are consistently oversaturated with the complexities of being human. And as technological connection becomes more and more prevalent, it becomes unavoidable. So why wouldn't we be numb to the world by the time we're teenagers? It's a nonchalant response that we often give, which is typically seen as arrogance, entitlement, but it's not. That's a horrible way to look at it. If you can remember March for Our Lives, thousands of people marched on Capitol Hill. This was a movement started by kids. And as the midterm election showed up, I mean, their impression really changed us. So what happened? We listened to kids! We understood that they were trying to tell us something. So, from my own personal experiences with bullying, I was an easy target. I live in a primarily white community. I have a very ethnically diverse appearance. And I wasn't exactly the kid with silly bands running up my forearms. I never ended up without lunch money, most kids, they didn't know how checks worked. It's a piece of paper. What is this worth? I also was never physically assaulted. Most of the kids thought I knew Kung Fu. No. My issues, they stem from ignorance. So if you laughed, that's you. See, we consistently live in this box. This box of conformity. Oh, that's really dark, actually. And when we step outside the box, we finally have power and control over ourselves, but then we're faced with words and expectations. And sometimes those words and expectations, they can cut deep enough to make us go right back into the box. So that our power and control can belong to someone else. It's horrific and it's agonizing for kids who don't already benefit from society's hierarchies. Particularly in this generation, because we don't take things seriously, and because we're very numb to the things that we can say, we'll crack jokes not realizing that they can put someone's self-worth, fundamental rights, and in cases desire to live right at the punchline. But me, I don't want to be in a box. But when you have neither power nor control, the hardest part becomes convincing yourself that you are capable of so much more. And I know that sitting as an audience member, you're considered a group. But you live your own complex lives and you have your own unique experiences. They're all based upon the times in which you grew up. You process your youth based on how you grew up. Group, it's just an easier term. Plus, most of you paid to be here, so. You may have noticed that the core issues of bullying, they haven't really changed. Power, control, ignorance, these have been humanity's greatest issues. And if you want to know the differences between you and me, well, all you had to do was listen. Overcoming this, it's not going to be easy, but I can tell you where to start. You can handle our generation with the maturity that you expect from us, and it's important to promote all parties to come to an understanding and address the ignorance head on. The injustice that you can give for a wrongdoing is allowing the victim to feel understood. The hardships invoked by emotions of inferiority, well, they don't compare to the feelings of being alone. To feel as if you're so far away from happiness that no one can reach you. When we as people don't seek understanding, when we don't think critically about the world that we're presented with, we in turn fail to fix our problems. Change. It's scary, I know, but it's the only way to make things better. We're lost if we think that this is the best that we can do. But there will always be ways to move past this, and as a new generation comes in, they'll start to shift again. But if we consistently fight ignorance, and we think critically, we can come to an understanding. No matter what generation you grew up in, this is our present day, and it's our job to set the expectation so that the new generation can come in and make their own mistakes. But I'll leave you with this. I don't think you're part of the problem. I'm not here because of that. I'm here because I know that you're the solution. I've always wanted to say this. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.